it's I, Wacky What If, and this is What If Subaru was a bioweapon Ghost Rider. I didn't add Ghost Rider, but hey, I'll do that in the title. Anyway, let's go ahead and go. Part 2. So, Subaru and Amelia were about to enter into Rom's place, and Azrael reminds Subaru that there's an ominous aura in there, which Subaru can sense. So, Subaru tells Amelia to be on guard, and I'll check first. Subaru opens the door just to see Felt fighting this lady with big bazongas, is what Subaru says in his head. But he says this lady with pretty skimpy clothes, but also quite sadistic eyes, and has the murderous aura and intent. So, Subaru is also looking around more and observing a little, and he sees that Rom is on the ground and has a glass bottle into his neck. So Subaru immediately walks in and tells Amelia, you should probably wait outside or come in, either one. I might need your assistance, actually. And so Amelia walks in, and Subaru quickly uses the Mad Hatter Ghost Rider's ability without being in any Ghost Rider form or any partial form, but he can only make very small things. So he makes a little pistol, and he has some bolts in it. So he points it towards the direction of Elsa and fires. And as soon as the bullet's about to hit Elsa, Elsa notices it from the corner of her eye, and she dodges by ducking downwards, and it shoots right behind her, and it blows a chunk of the stairs that was behind her, well, beside her, and her eyes are wide open because she's never seen a weapon like that with such destructive force. And Subaru just makes another one in his hand, and he's dual-wielding guns, and he's just pointing towards Elsa and firing. Elsa is maneuvering around the bullets, trying not to get hit. And Amelia is also shooting icicles, and Subaru is improving upon the two guns. He's putting bayonets at the end of them, at the end of the dual pistols. And once Elsa decides, I'm going to go take out the long-range dealers, she goes after Amelia, and Subaru jumps in front of Amelia and blocks the weapon, the bladed weapon. Blocks her blade with the bayonet. And then points his other gun towards her head and is about to fire, but notices something off. She has a second blade. He can sense it coming towards him because of the pure wind pressure of the speed of it. And he reacts quickly, and because of his bioweapon reflexes and strength, he removes his left hand from her head right when he was about to fire, and puts the bayonet positioned right towards his stomach, blocking the incoming attack, the secondary attack, which should have killed him. And she backs away, and she just jumps backwards. And Subaru says, now freeze the ground before she lands. And Puck and Amelia freeze the ground, and once she lands downwards, her legs are now stuck. And Subaru starts firing his gun. Puck starts shooting icicles towards her. And Felt literally just joins in and starts charging towards her. And all she does is she breaks her actual shoes, the heels of her shoes. And she jumps out of the ice and breaks part of the ice. And she dodges the bullets, and she jumps on top of the icicle, maneuvers up the icicle, the giant icicle, and rushes towards Felt, and tries to stab at her. But Subaru fires right in front of Felt, and tells her to duck. And when Felt ducks, the bullet lands right into Elsa's side, and she holds onto her side with her left hand, and Subaru is rushing towards Elsa, which they're just in the bar, and he punches her in the face so quickly she couldn't react. which was a shock to Elsa because someone this skilled is coming into this cheap-ass place. And he punches her so hard, she flies towards Old Man Rom's bar area, and she bricks everything in there. And the stairs are starting to fall on top of her. And you could hear the giant boom from outside the slum area. That's how hard he punched her. But Subaru notices that his hand is all bones right now. And he notices the punch was a lot stronger because he did a partial form of the full Ghost Rider. He partially turned his bones into a skeleton Ghost Rider form. Which he's thinking he's going to experiment on this later, but he has to get into the battle because Elsa's charging right at him again. And all that happens is it's a stalemate for a few hours, and, well, Subaru's just blocking with the bayonet on the gun, on the two pistols, and she's trying to go on the offensive, but she isn't going anywhere because every time she gets close to offing Subaru, either Subaru counters it, or Puck shoots beside her and makes her have to jump backwards to avoid it. And Elsa's registering that Subaru is a bigger threat because of how skilled he is. And Elsa just says, "It looks like I have to take you serious, little boy." And she jumps all the way to the top of the bar and starts maneuvering around like a wild animal, bouncing from pillar to pillar off the walls, and starts going a super fast motion. And then she appears right behind Subaru. But Subaru, who had his eyes completely closed, started sensing her movements and breathed in slowly, while Elsa was still charging right behind him, about to slash his back. But all that happened was Subaru put his right hand behind him, and the trigger was right lined up with her face. And Elsa just, in her mind, was like, "Oh shit." Was shot in the head. And she fell down. And she didn't move, so Subaru figured, "I guess I got her." If I wouldn't have sensed her quick enough, then I would have been dead from that. He also kicks her body away, just in case she has any last moment movements or anything. Because Subaru's seen horror movies, the villain usually gets up at the last second and tries to strike at the main protagonist, which he still sees himself as. That arrogance is still there, because he has power now. So, yeah, when he kicks her away, Amelia says, "Okay, so, should we go ahead and just heal this old man over here?" Which she was already healing. We should go ahead and ask him about the insignia. And Felt is trying to run away, but Subaru just grabs her arm and says, "Hey there. The actual insignia that you stole, give it to me, you little brat. I'm gonna hand it back to the little princess over there." And when Amelia is called princess, she kind of blushes because she's thinking it as a compliment instead of an insult, or just a fun little whip. But yeah, she ends up giving Subaru the insignia and tries to run away, but Subaru just says, "Nope, you're not going anywhere." Still has a firm hold on her, and says, "Hey Amelia, do you want her to pay for her crimes? Do you want to put her in jail or something? Considering she stole this, which is pretty precious to you, I'm assuming." And she just flips up the actual insignia, grabs it, and throws it towards Amelia, who opens her hand to catch it. She caught it, she puts it in her pocket, and she says, "No, I don't think I really need to." And Subaru says, "You're lucky, brat. If it was up to me, I'd probably take you to the Knights or whatever security or cops there are here." And they look at him crazily. They're like, "What are cops?" And Subaru says, "Oh yeah, I forgot. Your world doesn't have cops." And Amelia's like, "Wait, what do you mean your world?" And Subaru just says, I'll tell you later." And they're about to get up to go leave the bar. But all of a sudden, Subaru hears a sound, and it's rushing towards right behind the person at the end of the line that's exiting, which is Amelia, and is about to strike her. But Subaru pushes her out of the way, and takes the strike straight to the chest, slashing horizontally. And Subaru just coughs up immense blood. And Elsa is not one to let the moment slide, so with her second hand, her left hand, she strikes at the bowels, and all of a sudden, his guts start to spew open, and he's on the ground, kneeling, coughing out his blood, trying to get back up, but his body just won't let him. And he looks at Elsa and said, "You fucking coward." And Elsa says, "I'm an assassin. I'm not a knight. I don't need honor when I get my kill." And Subaru is wondering how the hell her bullet hole in her head is just healing. And Amelia is looking at Elsa in pure rage, and Felt is in pure fear, and that's all that Subaru sees before he blacks out. And all of a sudden, a dark hand out of the corner of his eye comes towards him and rips his heart and squeezes it, and he gets teleported back in time or something, because he just wakes up again, his eyes open, and he's right in front of the ROM establishment, of the ROM actual bar again. And he tells Amelia, "Come on with me, there's a assassin in there, most likely targeting. I need you to go ahead and heal the ROM guy, the big guy, the one with the beard, the old looking guy. I need you to go ahead and heal him first, and then provide me with backup." And she nods her head, not understanding what he's saying, but seeing the deadliness in his eyes. And Subaru just kicks down the front door with such ferocity, not opening this time, kicks it down with such ferocity, aiming towards where Elsa's charging it, Felt at, and it knocks into Elsa, catching her off guard. And Elsa just chops the actual door straight into little pieces, but sees that there's a man behind the door, ready to punch towards her. And she's blocking it with her left weapon, her left blade. And once Subaru connects the punch, he does all of his strength in that one punch and shatters the blade, and punches the blade fragments directly into her face, into her eye specifically. Because Subaru realized, I must blind my enemy, and then take advantage of it. So the little blade that was in the air, the little blade fragment, he punches it directly into her left eye, and then kicks her in the gut super hard, and she flies into the bar. And Amelia is making her way towards Rom, and sees this and says he's very impressive in her mind. And so does Puck. And Feld is wondering, who the hell is this guy? I saw him take out those 3 bandits before. Well, I saw the aftermath. So, I think we're okay. And Subaru, as if hearing Felt's mind, said, "I didn't do it. It was some guy named Mephisto in a fucking suit. He was a stalker." And she just nods her head, not believing him. And Subaru's kind of annoyed by this, but can't really think of it too much, because Elsa's charging up towards him with her right blade in hand, trying to stab into Subaru. And Subaru's just dodging it effortlessly, because he already knows the pattern of Elsa, and is just dodging without even thinking, like he's an ultra instinct or something. He's dodging so quickly. All of a sudden, Elsa kicks the chair forward towards him. Subaru just kicks it right in front of him, right towards her, and she just slices it into pieces with just one slice, so fast that Subaru couldn't even see the goddamn slices. And Subaru's like, "This time, I'm not going to just use no Ghost Rider form, I'm doing my partial form." And all of a sudden, flames appear out of Subaru, and this catches everyone off guard. And all of a sudden, this checkered suit appears on Subaru. He has a pocket watch on the right pocket near his chest, hanging out. He has these chains hanging out of his pockets, and he has these checkered pants. He has these checkered shoes, and he has this checkered top hat. And Subaru says, I hope you're ready, because I'm about to destroy you. I won't even let a single thing of you escape. And he puts out his top hat, and he throws it directly towards Elsa. And Elsa, on instinct, tries to slap it away. But as soon as she slaps it, it gets stuck in her arm, and it's cutting through. And all of a sudden, razor blades pop out of the top hat, and it starts going directly through her arm, cutting it diagonally, and straight in half diagonally, straight down the middle. And she's screaming out that her left hand's been cut off, straight down the middle, and it's fell to the ground. And Subaru's hat is coming right back around. And Elsa sees this, and she uses her right hand and tries to parry it away, which it does successfully do, and comes right back to Subaru. Subaru extends his hand, and the hat just hovers over his hand and falls into his right hand. And Subaru just puts it back on his head, just flips it, and it goes right back on his head. And before it flips all the way onto his head, he puts his hand right into the hat and pulls out a chain with a kunai at the end. And he says, I'm about to use one of my favorite Mortal Kombat moves. And he just starts swinging the actual kunai with chain, around him, in front of him, because while Elsa's trying to stab at him, he's blocking it with the actual chain. And then, once she goes backwards, trying not to get retaliation from Subaru, since she's already bleeding and it's taking a lot longer to regenerate, Subaru throws the kunai with chain and says, "Get over here!" And it lands straight into her chest. And he pulls her right towards him, and with his right fist, punches her dead in the face as hard as he can muster. And the partial Ghost Rider form is honestly boosting his strength up, and her head feels like it's about to get detached. But with all her might, she grits her teeth, and some of her teeth shatter, and she spits to the side, and 5 of her teeth fall out. And Subaru just materializes a pistol right in his right hand, points it towards her head, and this is a Desert Eagle, but it's a modified one. And he just shoots once, and her head goes fucking exploding off. And Subaru kicks her body forward, all the way into the bar, and it lands into the bar, unresponsive. And Subaru says, I'm not taking my eyes off of her. And Amelia sees he's heading towards the body, and Amelia says, she's already dead. And Subaru said, that's what I thought last time. But no. Once I stabbed straight through her and skewered her, she came back and literally killed me previously, so no. And Amelia does not know what he means by this, so she's starting to think that he's crazy. And then Subaru said, well, let me just tell you. I can return by, and before he could even say it, this mysterious shadow comes out right beside him and grips his heart and starts trying to clench it. But the Mad Hatter Ghost Rider, just in the mental state, walks up towards the source, which is this one lady with this hood over her head and a dress on, and just slaps the shit out of her and says, do not do this to my host. I hate to hit a lady, but I know what you were trying to do, and if you would have done that, then he would have been reset when she was still alive. And he gets to say what his ability is, so he doesn't get treated like a loony by that lovely lady over there. And back to Subaru on the outside. He just says it, and was wondering what that arm was, but it retracted, so he just didn't really bother with it. And Amelia, after hearing this, says, that's an impressive ability. That explains why you knew that there was an assassin inside of here. It also explains why you knew that this Ron guy had a glass bottle in his neck. And Felt, who heard this, was like, that's amazing, mister. And then Subaru grabbed her by the hand and said, yeah, you're still going to have to give that insignia back. Digged into her pocket, got out the insignia, handed it to Amelia and said, remember our deal, get a place to stay. And Amelia nodded her head. So did Puck in agreement. Because Puck didn't really have to do anything. Subaru took care of it very quickly and efficiently. And also, Subaru looked at Felt and said, "You're free to go." Let go of her. And Felt was about to walk off, but all of a sudden, because of all the noise that happened inside of the bar, well, let's go ahead and say Reinhardt appeared. He was already in front of the door, and he didn't have to open the door, but the door was already flung off the hinges because of what Subaru did. And Reinhardt just looks at all of this and just asks for a detailed report on this. What Subaru says, "Alright, so I was looking for this girl over here is a Sigma, Amelia's Sigma, because it was stolen by this little shit right here, and we had to go look around all over town, and I found out it was here. And this lady right over there," which points towards the body, but it's gone, and he says, "God damn it. That's going to be a pain in the ass later, I can just sense it." He just says it out loud, and Reinhardt doesn't know what he meant. And Amelia says, "Well, there was this female who was here and had 2 blades, and she, did this to the man over here." Points towards Rom, and the glass is just removed and healed. But Reinhardt could see where it was positioned and could already tell that he was stabbed through the throat with a glass bottle. And he's trying to find out whose handiwork this could have been, but he remembers a few years back when the same incident happened with someone else, and it was in a different district. And he says, "Hold up, you're telling me you went against the Bowel Hunter?" He's pointing towards Subaru, and he's very impressed with Subaru. And Subaru said, "Bowel Hunter? You mean the chick with revealing clothes, black hair, purple eyes, sadistic look, and looked like she was trying to be kind of BTSM?" And Reinhardt's like, "What's BTSM?" And Subaru's like, "You're too innocent, I'm not going to tell you." But anyway, that fit the description. And Reinhardt said, "Yes, that's the Bowel Hunter. The fact you even managed to survive against her is impressive, even if you all jumped her." And Subaru said, "No, I actually went against her by myself." And this impresses Reinhardt more because his eyes show honesty about this. And Reinhardt said, "I really want to talk to you later on. So where are you going to be staying?" And Subaru said, "Well, I made an agreement with her that if I found the insignia, I get to stay somewhere with her. So I'll be staying with her, most likely." He points towards Amelia. And Reinhardt's kind of disappointed because he wanted to use Subaru with his campaign. But apparently Amelia got a head start. And Reinhardt notices there's a glow on Felt's arm, on Felt's hand. So he grabs Felt and says, "I'll take this thief to interrogation for what she's done." And Amelia says, No, I don't need you to do this." And Reinhardt says, "No, the law must be upheld, Amelia," and takes off with her. And Amelia and Subaru look at each other, and Subaru says, "That's been one hell of an eventful day," and has this dumbfounded face. And Amelia starts laughing a little bit at his face, expression. And she says, "Alright, I guess a deal's a deal. I'm taking you to the Roswell mansion." And Subaru just says, "Nani? You have a mansion? I called you princess before. I didn't really think much of it." And Amelia's like, "Wait, you called me princess before?" And Subaru's like, "Oh, this is in the previous loop." Ah, god damn it. Because he's already figured out his ability because his IQ is a lot better. And Subaru and Amelia both go up to a cart, and go out of the city up to a cart in front of the city. And a familiar person to everyone else that's a ReZero fan appeared. It was Otto himself. They get in the back and they start conversating about how strong Subaru is, was what Amelia says, and asked how to get so strong. And Subaru was about to speak, but all of a sudden his hand started trembling, and he started recalling experiments and various things that he can't really remember too well. And he starts having a panic attack, and he falls in front of Amelia, and starts having heavy breathing. And Amelia's wondering what's wrong, and Puck appears out of her and says, out of the crystal, and says, I think he's having a panic attack. And Subaru just looks into his pocket, picks out a medication, and just goes in and pops some pills in his mouth and starts to swallow them, and says, he starts collecting himself, gets up and says, sorry about that, I just have PTSD. Apparently I have some memories that I can't really remember. And every time I try to remember them, this happens. I'm sorry you had to see that display. And Subaru is still sweating a cold sweat. And Amelia goes and sits right beside him and hugs him because she saw he was in a lot of pain and is curious about what he was recalling and what happened to him. Because she's seen children with PTSD before, and it was never this bad, though. Because she knows that some people have memories that they subconsciously try to forget. Because she's done that already. But she doesn't know why she has a deep connection with this. And Subaru and Amelia make it to the Roswell mansion, and Subaru goes unconscious because of his PTSD panic attack. So he's dragged into the mansion and is unconscious in his mental state. And Mad Hatter Ghost Riders is talking to Subaru saying, we have to talk. And Subaru says, okay, what's it about? And that's where I'm going to end What If Subaru Was a Bioweapon Ghost Rider, Part 2. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you haven't seen this part, please watch Part 1. I should have said that in the beginning. But I can't stress enough, I'm trying to make Subaru What Ifs more popular. Because I haven't really seen that many of them, aside from myself and some other people. So, yeah. Also, I hope you like my channel. Anyway, goodbye. Wacky Anime What If, signing out, going out, exiting the theater, and